Changing gears, how many jokes has he told you that were funny? Or has he ever told you a funny joke?
Come on. Are you serious?
I can't remember any of Mike's jokes because 95% of them were not funny. The only funny part of them was when he would say them to you and everyone would look at each other like, that's not funny, until he went, then it was hilarious.
Not specifically, just because I'm not good at remembering jokes. And for some reason they elude my mind, but all I know is Mike made me laugh a lot.
I don't even want to title the jokes. They're terrible jokes. We would just call each other and say ridiculous things. They're baby jokes. They're really dirty baby jokes. And no, just mocking a lot of people. We would always mock people.
He used to tell me that when he used to go get dates, or when he would try to go get dates or meet up with dates, that he'd bring 2 Advil in his pocket. And I always said, for what? And what he would say was that when he'd get to the door, he'd hand the girl the Advil, and the girl would always say, what are these for? And he said, for your headache. And they would say, well, I don't have a headache. And he would take them back and say, that solves that problem for the night. So that was a good joke, and I will never forget that one. Thank you, Mike.
Can you remember any of his jokes?
I could, but I'm not going to repeat them.
My favorite jokes of Mike's were gay jokes. Oh man, he could do some funny I mean, he could make people uncomfortable in a room, and he'd just do it to mess with them because he didn't even know them. Like our friend Marcus, every time he'd sit next to him, he'd put his hand on his thigh and then start getting closer, rubbing up and down.
Oh yeah, every time he come over at my house when I lived over at Jen's, or anywhere I was at, we'd be sitting on the couch, and I'd be on the far corner of it, and sure enough, he would come over, and I got 6 feet of couch next to me, but yet he has to sit right next to me, and when I'm not looking, rub his hand on my leg.
And he'd just sit next to him real close, you know, like a woman would sit next to a man, and put his hand on his thigh and start rubbing his inner thigh, which would make Marcus freak out. And
every time it got me. Boom, what are you doing? Every time, man. That was good.
Yeah, I just thought it was pure comedy. He'd try it with me, but then we just both started breaking out laughing because we couldn't keep it going for too long, you know. It was just joking around. It's been like that since like 15 years old, you know, so.
I can remember a million of his jokes, but probably not many that I can tell on tape. Actually, probably not one that I can tell on tape.
Yeah, but, I mean, his jokes, the ones that I remember, probably not real appropriate. I mean, he had some dirty jokes, man. I mean, this was a guy whose life was comedy. I mean, he was a comedian. He really was, I mean, he loved to make people laugh. He almost studied comedians. I mean, and I can think of some jokes, but I'm not going to repeat them.
Did you ever joke?
I mean, you know, he'd make you laugh. I mean, as previously mentioned, he'd, you know, sit up next to you, start rubbing on your thigh, acting all gay and this and that. And then he'd tuck his shirt in. He'd be like, you know, do a little nip tuck thing. I know, and then, so what, wire? You get the little thing prancing around all, hey guys. I mean, it was always hilarious. Hey Francisco.
Jokes. None that I could probably say on tape. None that his family wants to hear at this point. That's for sure. Yeah, that's a loaded question. God, our longest running joke, though, was that he was my backup and I was his. And every year, like in high school when we got together, you know, or started hanging out, we'd always say by the time we're 25, we would get married. And then, you know, after high school, we're like, okay, let's just change that to 30. And then he would call me back and say, hey, how's 35 for you? So we would always just make it, you know. I think we got to like 60 at one point, but we always said that we'd get married, have children together, and be able to date other people and just live together. That was his thing.
That's another thing that we had in common. A lot of the thing that I like about him, you find faults in the things you hate about other people are things that are faults in yourself, and vice versa is my personal feeling. And with me and Mike, my personal connection with Mike is that we were on the same page as far as telling ridiculous jokes, saying obnoxious things to each other. There's not a lot of people that I can call and say what I'm thinking to be funny, because you can offend people. But I didn't have to worry about that with him. I tell him whatever I wanted, tell him the funny joke that was on my mind.